The sun bled low across the canyon, turning the sand to rivers of molten copper. Heat shimmered from the rocks, and the air carried the metallic tang of anticipation. Aaron adjusted his grip on the worn hilt of his training blade, the leather slick beneath his gloves. Across the clearing, his opponent stood utterly still. A tall figure with amethyst skin, braided hair that shimmered like glass threads, and eyes that caught every flicker of light. She wore armor that looked grown rather than forged, plates of dark alloy etched with faint runes that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. The gathered spectators kept their distance, their whispers carried on the wind. They had come to witness more than a duel. They had come to see what happened when human and alien honor clashed under the twin suns of Karthus. Aaron inhaled slowly, feeling the dry heat scald his lungs. He'd fought before, raiders, mercs, even pirates, but never one of them. The Alaran were warriors born of resonance, their weapons alive, their combat laced with energy unseen by human eyes. His mentor had warned him, they fight like the desert, still until they strike, and then nothing survives. But retreat wasn't an option. The treaty demanded one champion from each race to settle the water rights dispute, and his name had been drawn. "Lucky me," he muttered, rolling his shoulders. The Alaran woman tilted her head slightly, as if she'd heard the words despite the distance. Her lips curved faintly, not mockery, not amusement, something between the two. "When you are ready, human," she called, her voice clear as chime glass. He stepped forward, boots sinking slightly into the sand. "I was born ready." It was bravado, but the crowd needed to hear confidence. His opponent inclined her head in acknowledgement, then raised her weapon, a slender blade of translucent metal that shimmered with trapped starlight. For an instant, he swore he saw movement beneath its surface, like light swimming through water. "Begin," announced the arbiter, his voice amplified through the valley. Silence fell so complete that even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The first strike came faster than thought. Aaron barely parried, sparks bursting where their blades met. The sound was less steel than song, a sharp, resonant hum that vibrated through his bones. She pressed forward, elegant and ruthless, every motion a dance between beauty and precision. He fell back a step, adjusting to her rhythm. She fought with fluid efficiency, her strikes unpredictable, her footwork alien in pattern. Each swing traced faint afterimages in the air, runes flaring briefly along her sword before fading. He realized she wasn't just fighting, she was testing him, probing his reactions like a musician tuning an unfamiliar instrument. Gritting his teeth, he countered with brute force, feinting left before sweeping low. The move caught her off guard. His blade nicked the edge of her gauntlet, sending a shimmer of blue light through her armor. She didn't flinch, but her eyes sharpened. "Interesting," she murmured. "You adapt faster than expected." "Humans are good at that," he said, breath ragged. "It's how we survived extinction." Her answering smile was both approving and dangerous. The tempo shifted. Her next strike came from above, and he barely managed to dodge, sand exploding around his boots. Their blades clashed again, locking for a heartbeat. He saw her up close now, the faint glow tracing her veins, the way her pupils contracted like a predator's. For reasons he couldn't explain, he didn't feel fear, only awe. She pushed him back effortlessly, strength hidden beneath precision. "You fight with purpose," she said softly. "What drives you, human?" He grunted, blocking another blow. "Water," he said. "My people need it." "Survival," she said, nodding. "A noble lie." "What's yours?" he shot back. She didn't answer. Her blade flicked sideways, slicing across his palm as he raised his hand to parry. Pain seared up his arm, sharp and electric. He stumbled back, blood splattering the sand. For a moment, time fractured. The cut was shallow, but as his blood touched her blade, the runes along its length flared brilliant red, brighter than any forge fire. She froze mid-motion, eyes widening in shock. The spectators gasped, a ripple of murmurs spreading through the crowd. "What did you do?" Aaron demanded, clutching his hand. "Nothing," she said, voice trembling for the first time. "It reacted." The blade pulsed again, each rune burning hotter, shifting color from red to gold. The hum deepened, vibrating through the air until even the rocks seemed to resonate. "That's not supposed to happen," she whispered. The arbiter stepped forward, alarmed. "Cease combat." But neither of them moved. The light from her sword stretched outward like tendrils, reaching toward the wound on his palm, as if drawn to it. Instinct told Aaron to retreat, but something in the glow stopped him. The energy wasn't hostile, it felt warm, curious, almost familiar. "It knows you," the Alaran woman breathed. "That's impossible." "You sure about that?" he said through gritted teeth. "Maybe your weapon just likes me." She shot him a glare that would have frozen lava, but beneath it was confusion, genuine, deep confusion. "The runes respond only to lineage," she said. "They awaken for blood bound to the resonant houses." "Well, unless my ancestors dated yours, I don't see how that's possible." The joke fell flat. She didn't smile. Her gaze fixed on his hand, where faint lines of light had begun to spread beneath his skin, tracing veins in patterns that mirrored her sword's markings. "No," she whispered. "This can't be." The crowd began to panic as the air thickened with energy. The arbiter shouted orders, but his voice was drowned by the rising hum. Aaron staggered, every heartbeat pulsing in time with the sword's light. "What's happening to me?" he gasped. "It's binding," she said. "To what?" "To you." The ground shuddered as a shockwave burst outward, knocking both of them to their knees. The runes along her blade detached, swirling into the air like glowing embers before sinking into the sand around them. Where they touched, new symbols formed, ancient, shifting, alive. She stared at them in horror. "This duel is over," the arbiter shouted. "Both combatants will stand down." But his words felt distant, meaningless. Aaron could hear only the pulse of his own blood, the strange music woven into it now. When the light finally dimmed, the world seemed smaller, quieter. The crowd had retreated, leaving only echoes and dust. The Alaran woman lowered her weapon, her voice hoarse. "What are you?" He managed a weak laugh. "Just a thirsty guy with bad luck. No human should be able to awaken runes forged before your species learned fire," she said, stepping closer. "Yet you did. Maybe I'm special." "No," she said flatly. "You're dangerous." He winced, flexing his injured hand. The wound had closed completely, leaving a faint golden scar that pulsed like a heartbeat. "I don't feel dangerous." "You will," she said. Then, softer. "Come with me." He blinked. "That sound like an arrest?" "No," she said. "A warning." They left the arena through a narrow canyon trail, the last light of sunset casting long shadows. "Mind telling me your name now?" he asked, keeping pace beside her. "Saren," she said after a pause. "House of Vera." "Aaron Hale," he replied. "House of Nobody." Her lips twitched. "Your humor will get you killed one day. It's gotten me this far." They walked in silence until they reached a cluster of ancient stone monoliths carved with the same runes that had flared on her blade. She stopped there, resting her palm against one. The symbols glowed faintly beneath her touch, resonating with the scar on his hand. "I was right," she murmured. "Right about what?" "The prophecy." "You're joking." "Do I look like I joke?" she said, glancing at him. "These stones speak of the day when human and Alaran blood would merge, not in war, but in recognition. They called it the binding." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Sounds like mythology to me." "It was," she said quietly. "Until today." The air hummed again, faint but persistent. He felt it vibrate beneath his skin, echoing in the rhythm of her breathing. "If you're right," he said slowly, "what does that make me?" "A key," she said. "Or a weapon. Depending on who finds out first." He frowned. "That's supposed to make me feel better?" "It's supposed to make you cautious." She turned away, her silhouette framed by the fading light. "The houses will come for you when they learn what happened." My people fear change more than death. And what about you? He asked. She hesitated, then said softly, I'm still deciding. Night fell swiftly in the desert, the stars burning close and clear. They made camp near the monoliths, a small fire crackling between them. Aaron studied the glowing lines on his palm, fascinated despite himself. Feels like it's alive, he muttered. It is, Saren said. Runes are not symbols, they're memories given form. Whose memories? The first ones. The architects of resonance. You're saying these things think? Not as we do. They remember intent, emotion, purpose. That's why your blood woke them, it carries something that mirrors their origin. He stared at her, across the firelight. And you think I'm supposed to do something with that? You already did, she said. You changed everything. He laughed quietly. You sound like my old commander. Every time we broke something, he'd call it innovation. She tilted her head, curious. You joke to hide fear. Yeah, he admitted. You meditate to hide guilt. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't deny it. The fire popped, sending sparks into the night. When the duel began, she said after a long silence, I intended to kill you. I figured, he said. But something stopped you. Yes, she said softly. The moment your blood touched the blade, I felt recognition, as if I'd known you across lifetimes. That's poetic, he said. It's terrifying, she corrected. He met her gaze. Maybe both. Wind swept through the canyon, carrying whispers that sounded almost like words. Saren rose suddenly, scanning the cliffs. We're not alone. Aaron followed her gaze. Shadows moved among the rocks, silent, deliberate. Friends of yours? He asked. No, she said grimly. Collectors. Sounds ominous. They serve the house that forged my blade. They must have felt its awakening. And they're here for me? For us. She drew her sword, which now glowed faintly even without her command. Stay behind me. Not a chance. He unslung his own weapon, a crude steel sword compared to hers, but it felt solid in his grip. If they want me, they'll have to earn it. She shot him a look that was half exasperation, half reluctant respect. Humans, she muttered. Always trying to impress death. The first collector dropped from the cliffs, armor black as obsidian, eyes glowing crimson. More followed, their movements unervingly precise. Saren struck first, her blade carving arcs of light through the dark. The runes flared gold, singing with each impact. Aaron fought beside her, every motion guided by instinct, and something more. The light from his scar flared with each swing, resonating with her blade. Together they moved like two halves of the same rhythm, their strikes weaving into a single pattern. You're syncing with me, she shouted over the clash. You're welcome, he shouted back. I wasn't thanking you. But her tone held something dangerously close to laughter. When the last collector fell, silence returned, broken only by their ragged breathing. The sand around them glowed faintly where the rune's energy had scorched it. Saren turned to him, eyes blazing. That shouldn't have been possible. Guess I'm full of surprises. No human has ever fought in resonance with an Alaran, she said. Then maybe it's time to update your rulebook. She stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Perhaps. The night wind cooled the blood and sweat on his skin, carrying the scent of ozone and iron. Above them, the stars shimmered brighter, as if bearing silent witness to whatever had just begun. Dawn crept across the desert like a slow-burning ember, washing the cliffs in shades of copper and gold. Aaron sat on a rock overlooking the canyon, the glow from his scar faint in the early light. The night's battle had left his muscles heavy, his thoughts heavier. Below, Saren knelt beside the remains of one of the collectors, her long fingers tracing the fractured runes on its armor. They were already decaying, she murmured. Whatever controlled them has moved on. That's comforting, he said dryly. Means we just killed the leftovers. She shot him a look, the faintest ghost of amusement crossing her features. You use humor to distract yourself. You use silence to make me nervous, he countered. Both are effective. She stood, brushing sand from her gauntlet. We need to move before the sun climbs higher. Collectors travel in pairs. You mean we fought the warm-up act? Precisely, she said. They walked through the canyon in uneasy quiet, their shadows stretching long across the red sand. Aaron's wound no longer hurt, but the light beneath his skin pulsed like a second heartbeat, whispering faint harmonies he couldn't ignore. Every so often, Saren's blade flickered in response, the resonance between them a silent thread binding their steps. So, he said at last, what's the plan? You gonna take me to your house for some glowing blood analysis? She didn't answer immediately. No, she said finally. If the houses learn what you are, they'll claim you as property. You'd vanish into the forges within a cycle. Sounds like a vacation, he said. Just hotter and with fewer drinks. She ignored the joke. We go to the archives instead. There's a record of every rune ever awakened. If we find your match, we find your origin. He frowned. You think I've got alien ancestry? Perhaps not ancestry, she said, but inheritance. By midday, the heat had become oppressive. They found shelter in a cave marked by ancient carvings, spirals and symbols that shimmered faintly when they entered. The air was cool, smelling faintly of metal and rain despite the arid world outside. Old resonance chambers, Saren said, examining the walls. The first settlers used them to test alignment between species and runes. You people really like your glowing graffiti, Aaron muttered. Each mark records a union between warrior and weapon, she said. Thousands of years ago, every blade was born with its wielder. Born? Yes, she said. A sword wasn't forged, it was sung into being through intention. The metal remembered the spirit that shaped it. He looked at her with raised eyebrows. And here I thought humans were sentimental about their guns. She smiled faintly. Perhaps sentiment is universal. They rested there until the light softened again. Aaron dozed fitfully, dreams filled with symbols that pulsed like living things. He saw cities carved from crystal, their towers humming with song, and a vast forge at their heart where figures of light worked in silence. When he woke, Saren was watching him, her expression unreadable. You dream loudly, she said. Didn't know that was possible. It is when resonance listens, she said. Your mind is echoing what your blood remembers. He sat up, rubbing his temples. You're saying I'm carrying memories that aren't mine? Exactly. Great, he muttered. Haunted by my own DNA. Haunted, she repeated softly. Perhaps guided. There was something fragile in her tone, as if she wasn't sure whether to envy or pity him. They resumed their journey at dusk, following the river of glass that wound north toward the Alaran ruins. The landscape changed as they traveled, sand giving way to stone, then to strange mineral formations that sang when struck by the wind. At night, bioluminescent spores drifted through the air like stars brought low. Beautiful, isn't it? Saren said quietly. Your world. Ours now, she corrected. You bled into it. The resonance knows you. That's supposed to be comforting. Depends on how you define belonging. Usually with fewer glowing scars, he said. She almost laughed, but the sound was swallowed by the vastness around them. You carry humor like armor, she said. And you carry secrets like weapons. We all fight with what we have. The ruins came into view by the second sunrise, a labyrinth of broken spires half buried in sand. The air thrummed with dormant energy, the kind that prickled against skin and whispered of forgotten power. Saren slowed her pace, reverent. This was Vera Prime, she said softly. Home of the resonant forge. My ancestors sang the first runes here. Aaron studied the blackened walls. Looks like your ancestors forgot the fireproofing. They paid for hubris, she said. The forge overreached, trying to bind human ambition to Alaran control. Human ambition? We built your kind once, she said, her voice distant. Not through birth, but through thought. You were designed to remind us what we'd lost. He stopped walking. You're saying humans were made? Not all, she said. Only the first wave. The ones who crossed from the stars carrying light that wasn't theirs. He stared at her. And you waited until now to drop that on me? You weren't ready to believe it. And now? Now your blood glows with proof. He looked down at his hand. The light had brightened again, threads of gold spreading up his arm like roots. Feels like it's waking up, he said. Then we're running out of time, she replied. Once resonance completes alignment, your body will begin transforming. Into what? Something that remembers. That's vague and not reassuring. I'm not trying to reassure you, she said. I'm trying to prepare you. He met her gaze. You think I'm some kind of weapon? No, she said after a long pause. I think you're a bridge. They entered the heart of the ruins, where a circular platform stood surrounded by broken pillars. At its center rested a monolith of black crystal, its surface carved with runes that pulsed faintly as they approached. Saren knelt before it, pressing her palm to the base. This is the archive, she said. It remembers every bond ever formed. And you can read it. Not alone. It requires dual resonance. She looked up at him. Your blood awakened the runes of Vera steel. Together, we can access what was sealed. He hesitated. And if I say no? Then your transformation consumes you. You make terrible sales pitches, he muttered, stepping forward. Fine. Let's see what your magic rock has to say. She smiled faintly. Try not to die mid-sentence. Encouraging. Their hands met against the crystal's surface. Instantly, heat flared between their palms, spreading through their arms and into their chests. The monolith lit up, symbols spinning in concentric rings. Aaron gasped as visions flooded his mind, endless forges, worlds being sung into existence, a war that burned across galaxies. He saw figures of both human and Alaran working side by side, their energies merging until distinction blurred. This was us, Saren whispered. Before division. What happened? He asked through clenched teeth. Fear, she said. They feared what they'd created. So they buried it, erased it, made our kinds forget. The images shifted, cities collapsing, runes darkening, screams carried through resonance like broken chords. Then he saw a single figure carrying a glowing blade through the ruins, a human. The runes on the sword matched the scar on his hand. The vision shattered, leaving him on his knees, gasping. That was you, Saren said quietly. Not me, your ancestor. The one who forged the first bond. You're his echo. An echo with bad timing, he said. So this, whatever this is, it's repeating? No, she said, her expression firm. It's evolving. History is offering a chance to finish what he began. Unite our species? Redeem them, she said. Both. He ran a hand through his hair, dazed. Why me? Because you're the first human in 10,000 years whose blood remembered the song. And you. I'm the last Alaran whose blade still listens. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, recognition deeper than logic, a resonance neither of them could deny. The ground trembled suddenly, dust cascading from the shattered walls. Saren tensed. They found us. Collectors again? Worse, she said. Sentinels of the forge, ancient guardians bound to silence resurrection. The air grew heavy as three towering figures emerged from the shadows, their bodies forged from molten glass and stone. Their voices boomed in unison, the past must remain buried. Saren drew her blade, its light flaring defiantly. Aaron rose beside her, the glow from his arm blazing brighter. You're with me, right? He said. Until the end, she replied. The sentinels moved as one, their steps shaking the ground. Aaron's heart pounded in rhythm with the resonance, his body humming with energy. "You feel that?" he shouted. "The bond," she said. "Don't fight it, let it guide you." They moved together, light and motion fused. Saren's strikes traced arcs of flame, while Aaron's blade absorbed and redirected them, forming a rhythm that felt both foreign and instinctive. The sentinels countered with waves of molten energy, each impact echoing like thunder. Aaron ducked beneath one strike, rolling to his feet just as Saren leapt above him, her sword singing in a high, pure note that split the nearest sentinel in two. "Not bad," he said, grinning. "Focus," she snapped, though her eyes betrayed a spark of pride. The remaining sentinels closed in, their combined energy warping the air. Aaron raised his sword instinctively, and golden light erupted from the ground, forming a shield around them. Saren stared. "You're channeling the forge itself. Is that good?" "It's impossible. Guess I'm making a habit of that." The energy surged higher, the resonance amplifying until the entire ruin glowed like dawn reborn. The sentinels halted, their forms flickering. "You cannot rewrite what was broken," they thundered. "Watch us," Aaron said. He and Saren stepped forward together, their voices merging in a single command that wasn't spoken but felt, an unspoken chord that rippled through the stones. The runes answered, blazing to life in every direction. The sentinels shattered, their molten forms dissolving into light that drifted upward like ash. Silence followed, deep and sacred. Saren lowered her weapon slowly, her breathing ragged. "You did it," she whispered. "No," he said. "We did." She looked at him then, something raw and uncertain in her gaze. "You're more than an echo," she said softly. "You're the continuation." The glow faded gradually, leaving only the stars visible through the broken ceiling. Aaron sank to the ground, exhaustion washing over him. "So what now?" he asked. "Now we prepare," she said. "The houses will feel this awakening across the worlds. They'll come for us, to claim or destroy. You make running sound almost comforting. Running won't help. But resonance travels faster than ships. We have allies who still remember the old harmony." "You trust them?" "No," she said. "But I trust necessity." He chuckled. "You're starting to sound human." She regarded him for a long moment before replying. "Maybe you're starting to sound Ilaren." The words lingered in the air like a promise neither of them dared define. As they left the ruins behind, dawn rose again over the horizon, scattering light across the desert. The path ahead was uncertain, but the bond between them pulsed steady as a heartbeat. Aaron glanced at Saren, her armor catching the sunrise like liquid fire. "You ever think maybe the universe just wants a good story?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure it ends better this time." The wind carried her words away, but the desert itself seemed to hum in agreement, its ancient song rising once more. The desert was quieter after the battle, as if the planet itself were holding its breath. Every grain of sand seemed charged with residual light, each gust of wind humming faintly in resonance with the scar on Aaron's hand. He walked beside Saren along the ridge, the twin suns rising behind them in soft crimson arcs. The ruins of Vera Prime dwindled into the haze, but the memory of their glow lingered like a ghost at the edge of vision. Aaron's muscles ached, though it wasn't fatigue he felt, it was awareness, the sense that something vast had settled inside him, listening. "You feel that?" he asked quietly. Saren nodded, her expression distant. "The forge's echo. It's following us." "Friendly echo or murder echo," he said. "That depends," she replied. "On whether it remembers gratitude." They descended into a canyon threaded with thin rivers of molten glass, remnants of the ancient resonance forges. The air shimmered with heat, the sky streaked by drifting metal clouds. "Where are we headed?" he asked. "The Vault of Chorus," she said. "A refuge for the old ones who rejected the houses. They kept records the rest of us buried." "So, rebels." "Historians," she corrected. "The difference is intent." Intent still gets you executed where I come from. She gave him a sidelong look. And yet you still came from there. He grinned faintly. Yeah, I have a talent for surviving bad decisions. That may be why the runes chose you, she said. He shrugged. Or they just have terrible taste. As dusk approached, they reached the canyon floor where an expanse of black stone stretched like mirror glass. When Aaron stepped onto it, the surface rippled beneath his boots. Liquid? He asked. Memory, Saren said. Solid when calm, fluid when disturbed. That's unsettling. It remembers the steps of those who came before, she said. Tread carefully. The moment she spoke, the ground shimmered, and faint silhouettes appeared, echoes of warriors locked in duels, their movements looping endlessly. Are those recordings? Resonance ghosts, she said. Fragments of emotion trapped in stone. One of the figures turned mid-stride, its blade glowing gold, and for an instant Aaron thought it looked directly at him. You didn't mention they look back. Then don't give them reason, she said quietly. Fear feeds reflection. The vault's entrance lay hidden behind a waterfall of light, thin strands cascading from nowhere, dissolving before they touched the ground. Saren pressed her palm to the current, and runes flared across the barrier, recognizing her touch. Only Illyrian blood can open the gate, she said. Aaron stepped beside her, raising his hand. The runes reacted instantly, glowing brighter where his scar met the light. The barrier parted with a sound like distant chimes. Saren stared at him. It shouldn't answer you, she said. Maybe it's feeling generous. No, she said softly. It's remembering. Inside, the vault stretched vast and circular, carved from obsidian shot through with veins of blue energy. Books, crystals and relics floated in slow orbits, each humming faintly as if aware of their visitors. Welcome to forbidden knowledge, he murmured. You sound disappointed, she said. No, just surprised it's tidy. An elder waited near the central dais, his armor fused with translucent panels that pulsed like veins of light. His eyes, bright silver, studied Aaron with unnerving calm. Saren of Vera, he said, his voice low and resonant. You return carrying what was lost. Elder Caliph, she replied with a formal bow. The runes awakened in a human. His gaze lingered on Aaron. Unlikely. Yet true, she said. He bears the mark. Caliph stepped closer, extending a hand. May I? Aaron hesitated. Define, may. He means no harm, Saren said. Reluctantly, Aaron offered his palm. The elder touched it lightly, and the air shimmered. It sings, Caliph murmured. Old song, bright with defiance. You carry the resonance of the first forged. Aaron sighed. That sounds important. It is, Caliph said. It means the forge never truly died, it waited. The elder turned toward a wall of hovering crystal shards. Show him. The fragments rotated, projecting images of vast battles fought in blinding light. Human and Illyrian forces clashed under skies split by storms of energy. When the houses sought to enslave the resonance, one human refused, Caliph said. He bound his essence to the first living blade, choosing unity over dominion. His sacrifice severed the lattice and birthed mortality as we know it. Aaron watched the figure, a man wielding a sword identical to Saren's. That's the guy I saw in the vision, he said. Caliph nodded. Your bloodline descends from his echo. You are not his heir, you are his continuation. Great, Aaron muttered. An ancient messiah complex. Just what I needed. Saren's lips curved faintly. You handle destiny poorly. I handle everything poorly. It's my charm. Caliph's expression hardened. Charm will not protect you. The houses have already stirred. They felt the awakening at Vera Prime. Their fleets gather even now. So what's the plan? Aaron asked. You hide us? Teach me the ancient ways? Let me meditate until enlightenment saves the day. The elder's smile was faint. You jest, but yes, in essence. You must learn to control the resonance before they find you. Otherwise, it will consume you from within. Aaron rubbed his temples. You people really need to invent simpler problems. Saren stepped forward. I'll train him. Caliph raised an eyebrow. You would risk your standing? I lost my standing the moment I let him live, she said. The elder inclined his head. Then let the past teach the future. The vault is yours for now. Training began at dawn beneath the vault skylight, where sunlight filtered through the energy veins in prismatic streams. Saren guided him through exercises that balanced focus and rhythm, each movement designed to harmonize the body with the pulse of the runes. It's not about strength, she said. It's about surrender. Surrender isn't really my thing, he replied, struggling to maintain posture. Then you'll die trying to control what demands cooperation. That sounds like marriage. Worse, she said. It's resonance. She moved with effortless grace, her blade tracing slow arcs that left trails of light in the air. Listen to the silence between breaths, she instructed. The runes live there. He tried, closing his eyes. Beneath the hum of his heartbeat, he felt faint chords rising and falling, not sound but emotion, fear, hope, determination. They belonged to him, yet not entirely. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time blurred in the vault's eternal glow. When exhaustion finally drove him to the floor, Saren knelt beside him. You resist too much, she said softly. If I didn't, I'd be a pile of ash. You already are, she said, smiling faintly. You just haven't noticed yet. He laughed despite himself. You're terrible at pep talks. And yet you're still alive. Barely. Progress. They sat in companionable silence, the light from above painting shifting patterns across her armor. You ever regret this? He asked suddenly. Regret what? Being part of a prophecy. Every day, she said. But regret doesn't unwrite destiny. I'm more of a free will guy. Then prove it, she said, rising. Rewrite it. He did. Over the next cycles, his connection deepened. He learned to draw energy without losing control, to shape it into barriers, to hear the faint voices hidden within the resonance. They weren't ghosts as he first thought, but memories, impressions left by generations of warriors. Some offered guidance, others warnings. One voice, calm and familiar, whispered in his dreams, you cannot wield what you refuse to understand. You hear it too? Saren asked one morning. The voice. Yes, he said. Sounds like someone who's tired of my stubbornness. Then it must be divine, she said. He grinned. Careful, you almost complimented me. Almost, she said, though her eyes softened. The peace didn't last. During their final training session, the vault trembled, its lights flickering. Caliph appeared, urgency etched in his face. They've breached orbit, he said. House Sereth has come. Saren's expression darkened. They won't parley. No, Caliph said. They come to reclaim what they think is theirs. Aaron stood. Meaning me. Meaning both of you, the elder said. Your bond makes you inseparable. Aaron drew a breath. Guess that makes escape tricky. Impossible, Saren said. But not survival. She turned to Caliph. Can you hold them? For a time, he said. Enough for you to reach the resonant gate. The what now? Aaron asked. A conduit, she explained. It connects worlds through harmony fields. If we reach it, we can disappear into the outer void. Disappear sounds nice right about now. They left the vault as explosions echoed through the canyon above. The air outside burned red, streaked with falling debris. Warships blotted the sky, sleek Alaran craft firing beams of light that turned sand to glass. Saren led him through narrow tunnels carved by resonance veins, the paths glowing faintly beneath their steps. "They're tracking our energy," he said. "Then we give them something to follow," she replied. She pressed her palm to the wall, channeling a surge of light that split into dozens of echoes racing outward. "Decoys," she said. "They'll buy us minutes. I'll take seconds at this point. Then move faster." The tunnels opened into a vast chamber where an archway of pure crystal stood humming with energy. "The gate," she said. "Once activated, it will take us wherever the resonance leads." "That sounds vague. It's better than dead." As they approached, a beam of light struck the ground before them, cutting off their path. A figure emerged from the glare, tall, armored in obsidian trimmed with gold. His voice was smooth and cold. "Seren of Vera," he said. "You disgrace your lineage." "Lord Sereth," she said quietly. "Still hiding tyranny behind etiquette? Still consorting with vermin?" His gaze slid to Aaron. "You've bound yourself to corruption." "Funny," Aaron said. "I was about to say the same." Sereth raised a hand, and energy crackled between his fingers. "You do not understand what you carry, human. The resonance is not your toy." "It's not yours either," Seren said, stepping between them. "Stand aside," Sereth warned. "Or die." She raised her blade. "You'll have to try both." The duel erupted like lightning. Sereth moved with impossible precision, his strikes sharp and deliberate. Seren met him blow for blow, her runes flaring gold against his crimson arcs. Aaron tried to assist, but the resonance between them flared wildly, responding to every surge of emotion. The chamber shook, cracks splintering across the crystal arch. "You can't fight him alone," he shouted. "I'm not," she said through gritted teeth. "Then let's end it together." He pressed his hand to her back, channeling his energy through her. Their lights merged, gold and silver entwining. Sereth staggered as the combined force hit him, but he recovered, fury twisting his features. "You'll destroy everything," he roared. "Better that than kneel," Aaron said. They unleashed one final surge, blinding white light filling the chamber. When the glow faded, Sereth was gone, consumed or banished, they couldn't tell. The arch pulsed erratically, cracks spider webbing across its surface. "You broke your doorway," Aaron said. "It'll hold long enough," she replied. "Move." They ran through as the gate collapsed behind them, swallowed by a roar of energy. For a heartbeat, there was nothing, no sound, no gravity, only light. Then they emerged on the other side, stumbling onto a field of silver grass beneath an unfamiliar sky. "Where are we?" he asked, breathless. Seren looked up at twin moons hanging low on the horizon. "Nowhere mapped," she said. "Good. Maybe they'll take a while to find us." She smiled faintly. "You think they'll stop looking?" "No," he said. "But we'll be ready." They stood side by side, the wind whispering through the strange grass. The stars above pulsed faintly, echoing their joined rhythm. For the first time since the duel, Aaron felt something like peace, temporary, fragile, but real. He glanced at Seren, her armor reflecting moonlight in soft hues. "You ever wonder," he said quietly, "if the runes didn't choose us, but we chose them?" She looked at him, eyes luminous. "Maybe that's the same thing." The night deepened, and the resonance sang softly in the distance, a promise of both danger and possibility. The twin moons hung low over the silver plains, casting their pale glow across a landscape that hummed softly with life. Aaron lay on his back, staring at constellations he didn't recognize, the grass whispering against his armor. For the first time in weeks, he heard no pursuit, no echo of engines or resonance pulses. The air here was gentle, cool and fragrant with something like rain. Seren sat nearby, her sword resting across her knees, its runes dim but alive. "We should move soon," she said without looking at him. "If Seretha's fleet tracks the gate's residue, they'll find us," he finished, exhaling. "Yeah. Story of my life." "You sound disappointed," she said. "I was hoping for at least one night where nobody's trying to kill me." Her lips curved faintly. You humans always expect safety to last. He rolled onto his side, propping himself up on an elbow. And you Ilaren never stop expecting loss. She glanced at him then, eyes reflecting both moons. Experience breeds realism. And stubbornness, he said. You're proof of that. You call survival stubbornness? I call refusing to give up admirable. She studied him for a long moment before replying. You confuse endurance with hope. Maybe they're the same thing, he said quietly. She didn't answer, but her gaze softened slightly. For a moment, the silence between them felt fragile, almost sacred. Then the wind shifted, carrying a faint vibration through the air. Saren stiffened. They found us? He asked. She shook her head slowly. No. Something else is calling. Friendly something? That depends who remembers the song. They followed the hum through the plains until they reached a valley where light pooled like liquid, rippling across the ground in shifting geometric patterns. The air tasted metallic, charged. This place isn't natural, Aaron murmured. Nothing born of resonance is, Saren said. It's a remnant, a memory of the forge carried through the gate. He crouched, touching the glowing soil. Warm, he said. Feels alive. It is, she replied. Residual consciousness, the kind that lingers after creation. You mean this whole valley is thinking? Dreaming, she corrected. It remembers what it was meant to build. The runes on her sword brightened, pulsing in time with the patterns underfoot. It knows me, she whispered. And it knows you. The light responded, rising into faint figures, hollow outlines of beings neither human nor Ilaren, each humming with quiet resonance. The figures moved slowly around them, their shapes flickering between solidity and mist. One turned toward Aaron, and though it had no face, he felt its attention. A voice filled his mind, not heard but felt, like a chord struck deep inside his chest. Bearer of the first song, it intoned. The cycle begins anew. Aaron flinched. You hearing this too? He asked. Saren nodded, her eyes glowing faintly. They're the architects, the first to shape resonance. Ghosts. Guides, she said. Or judges. The figure's glow intensified. Unity was broken by fear, it said. You carry the spark to mend or end it. Not this destiny talk again, Aaron muttered. Can't you people just hand out manuals? Saren didn't smile. They're offering choice, not instruction. Then let's choose surviving, he said. I'm getting tired of cosmic tests. The ground trembled as the light figures drew closer. Their tones deepened, blending into a single harmonic wave that rippled through Aaron's veins. His scar flared gold, then white-hot, and the pain nearly doubled him over. It's too much, he gasped. Saren grasped his shoulder, her touch steady. Breathe with it, not against it. That's easy for you to say, you're not being microwaved from the inside. Yes, I am, she said through clenched teeth, her own runes blazing. We share the resonance now. The figures surrounded them completely, their voices overlapping in rising intensity. Balance must be chosen. The valley blazed with light, and for an instant, Aaron saw everything, worlds connected by luminous threads, the lattice reborn not as control but as communication. He understood without language. This was what the forge had tried to achieve before fear destroyed it. Then the light collapsed inward, slamming into his chest like a tidal wave. He fell to his knees, gasping. The valley dimmed, the figures fading into the earth. Saren knelt beside him, gripping his arm. Aaron, talk to me. He blinked, disoriented. Still here, he said hoarsely. Though part of me feels like it's currently orbiting another dimension. What did you see? Everything. Nothing. It's hard to explain. Try. He exhaled shakily. The lattice, they didn't want power. They wanted understanding. Connection across species, time, everything. Saren nodded slowly. And they failed because they tried to force it. Exactly. They turned unity into control. He looked at her, eyes still bright with lingering light. But maybe we don't have to repeat that. You think you can fix what they broke? She asked softly. Not alone, he said. They camped at the valley's edge that night, the grass glowing faintly beneath their fire. Saren sat sharpening her blade with deliberate precision, each stroke rhythmic, meditative. You ever wonder, Aaron asked, why your people stopped listening to what they built? She paused. Because we feared our own reflection. The lattice mirrored our intentions too clearly. It showed that conquest and preservation were the same instinct viewed from different angles. And humanity. You learned to forget faster, she said. That's both your flaw and your grace. You sound almost jealous. Perhaps I am, she admitted. Your kind forgets pain quickly enough to try again. He smiled faintly. Yeah, we're stubborn like that. Or hopeful, she said. Sometimes I think you don't know the difference. Maybe we don't need to. As dawn broke, a shadow passed across the horizon, a ship, sleek and silent, cutting through the clouds. They found us, Saren said, standing. Aaron cursed under his breath. How? The forge's echo broadcasted through your pulse. You called them. Accidentally. Intent doesn't matter to the houses. She scanned the sky. They're deploying interceptors. He checked his weapon. We can't outrun that. No, she said. But we can outthink it. She stabbed her sword into the ground, runes flaring bright. The valley still remembers. We can use it. Use it how? Resonance camouflage. It can make us vanish between frequencies, but it requires a cost. What kind of cost? She hesitated. Memory. The field feeds on recollection to sustain itself. So we forget. Only temporarily. You sure? No, she said. But we have no choice. They stood in the valley's center as the ships descended, engines roaring. Saren began the chant, her voice low and melodic, each word vibrating through the air. The runes on her blade flared in response, connecting to the patterns beneath them. Join me, she said. Aaron took her hand, the scar on his palm blazing to life. The resonance swelled, surrounding them in golden light. He felt his memories start to blur, the duel, the forge, even her face flickering at the edges of recollection. Saren, he murmured, panic threading his voice. If I forget. You won't, she said, though her voice trembled. Our bond will remember for us. The light engulfed them completely just as the first blast struck the valley. From the air, the entire landscape vanished in an instant, leaving nothing but empty plains. When awareness returned, Aaron was lying in darkness. The air was damp, cold. He sat up slowly, wincing as his head throbbed. His memories came in fragments, flashes of light, a voice calling his name, a hand gripping his. Saren, he whispered. No answer. He stood unsteadily, scanning his surroundings. They were in a cavern, its walls alive with faint bioluminescence. Pools of liquid light rippled gently across the floor. He called again, louder. Saren. This time, a soft groan answered. She lay nearby, pale but breathing, her armor dimmed to near black. Relief flooded him. He knelt beside her. Hey, wake up. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Who? She began. The word cut through him like a blade. It's me, he said. Aaron. She frowned, confusion clouding her gaze. I don't know that name. He froze. The valley, he whispered. It took your memory. Memory? She echoed faintly. Of what? Of me, he said softly. She sat up, wincing, and looked around. Where are we? Underground, I think. The valley must have thrown us here before collapsing. She touched her chest, eyes narrowing at the faint glow beneath her armor. I still feel resonance, she said. But it's hollow. You lost pieces of yourself, he said. We both did. It's how we survived. She studied him warily. You speak as if you know me. We fought together, he said. Against Sereth, against everyone who wanted to use us. That's impossible, she said. I would never fight beside a human. He swallowed hard. You did. And you saved my life more times than I can count. Her expression softened slightly, uncertain. Then why don't I remember? Because you gave that memory to save us. Days passed in uneasy silence. They found a narrow tunnel leading upward, following the faint pulse of light until they reached the surface again. The world had changed. The silver plains were gone, replaced by rolling fields of dark crystal that shimmered under violet skies. We're not on the same world, Aaron said quietly. The gate must have thrown us further than we thought. Saren walked beside him, cautious but distant, her sword hanging loosely at her side. She no longer looked at him the same way. Her eyes saw a stranger. What are we searching for? She asked once. Answers, he said. About what? About why we're still alive. She considered that, then nodded. A reasonable quest. You used to call it foolish, he said. Then I must have liked you once, she replied dryly. It almost sounded like her. They reached a ridge overlooking a valley of ruined machines, colossal constructs half buried in crystal. Aaron climbed down first, his suit registering faint energy signatures. These look Ilaren, he said. Saren examined one of the fallen engines. Older. From before the split. Think they work. If they did, we'd be dead already. Comforting, he said. You keep saying that, she replied. Did I? Frequently. Guess old habits survive cosmic amnesia. She gave him a strange look, halfway between irritation and curiosity. You talk as if you know who I was. I do, he said. And I'm going to help you remember. Why? Because I made you a promise. Her brow furrowed. To me. To both of us. That night, they built a small fire among the ruins. Aaron spoke softly, recounting the moments she'd forgotten. The duel, the forge, the awakening. At first, she listened with detachment, as if indulging a myth. But gradually, her expression changed. The way you speak, she said quietly. It's like you were there. I was, he said. And so were you. And you expect me to believe I bound myself to you? I don't expect it, he said. I'm reminding you. She looked away, the firelight flickering across her features. Why would I do that? Because you saw something worth trusting, he said. Because we both did. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, barely audible, you're either mad or honest. Can't I be both? No, she said. You're human. Exactly. The following morning, they found movement on the horizon, a caravan of ships gliding low across the crystal fields. Aaron raised his scope. House insignia, he said grimly. Sereth again? No, she said. Another. House Lyrian. They were healers once. You trust them. Less than poison. So, business as usual. They hid among the wreckage until the fleet passed overhead. Saren's hand brushed his arm as she crouched beside him, her touch unthinking but familiar. He froze, glancing at her. For a second, recognition flickered in her eyes, then vanished. You okay? He whispered. Fine, she said quickly. But her hand trembled slightly when she withdrew it. He exhaled, heart hammering. Maybe memory wasn't lost, just buried. By the fifth day, the path led them into a canyon carved entirely from crystal, its walls glowing with inner light. The resonance here was stronger, pressing against his mind like a heartbeat. Saren slowed, frowning. Do you feel that? Yeah, he said. Feels like the world's breathing. It's familiar, she murmured. Like something I've dreamed before. Then maybe you're remembering. She shook her head. No, it's deeper than that. The canyon opened into a vast chamber where a pool of molten light rippled at the center. The heart of the lattice, she whispered. What's left of it? Think it's safe. No, she said. But it's truth. She stepped toward the edge, the glow painting her face in gold. If I touch it, she said quietly, I might remember everything. He hesitated. And if you don't survive it, then promise me you will. Not happening. She smiled faintly. You always say that. Guess I'm consistent. She looked at him, and for a heartbeat, recognition flickered again, clear, unguarded. Aaron, she whispered. I remember your name. The sound hit him like a shock. Then let's not ruin that by dying, he said. She reached for the light anyway. The moment her fingers touched it, the entire chamber ignited. Symbols spiraled outward, filling the air with golden fire. Her body arched, light pouring from her armor. Aaron lunged, grabbing her wrist. Saren, he shouted. Let go, she gasped. Not a chance. Energy surged through him, burning like liquid flame, but he held on. Their lights intertwined, gold and silver merging until the entire canyon shook. When the explosion came, it was silent, a pulse that rippled across the stars. Then everything went still. Light returned as sound, a low hum, steady as breath. Aaron opened his eyes to find himself floating in darkness, weightless, his body surrounded by faint motes of gold drifting like embers underwater. For a moment he thought he was dead. Then he felt pain, sharp, insistent, alive. The glow traced the lines of his veins, pulsing in rhythm with his heart. Saren, he whispered. The word echoed into infinity. A faint figure appeared ahead, suspended in the same golden void, her silhouette radiant, her sword hovering nearby. He reached for her, but the distance refused to close. Saren, he shouted again. Her eyes opened, glowing white for an instant before returning to their familiar amethyst hue. We're not dead, she said softly. Not yet. That's optimistic. We're inside the lattice, she said. It remembered us. The darkness shimmered, resolving into vast patterns of light, threads weaving through endless space, each connecting worlds like constellations in motion. Aaron turned slowly, awestruck. This is it, he said. The network that used to bind everything. Saren nodded. The heart of the lattice drew us in when we activated it. It's rebuilding itself through us. That sounds concerning. It's inevitable, she said. Resonance needs a core. It found one in your blood, and one in my blade. So we're its batteries. We're its balance. He frowned. I didn't sign up to be cosmic life support. No one ever does, she said gently. But choice brought us here. Her expression softened. Aaron, what you did in the chamber. You should have let go. Yeah, well, letting go isn't really my style. A ripple of laughter, hers, faint but genuine, echoed through the void. Then the patterns around them pulsed violently. Fragments of light broke off, reforming into figures like those in the valley. Architects reborn, their forms clearer now, their presence vast. The union returns, they intoned. The cycle nears completion. Aaron grimaced. You people really need better timing. Saren bowed her head slightly. Honored architects, the lattice cannot awaken through us alone. Humanity and Ilaren must choose together. Choice has been given, the voices replied. Only understanding remains. Aaron folded his arms. Great. A test. Always, Saren said quietly. The architects reached toward them, beams of light lancing into their chests. Pain flared white-hot. Memories, hers, his, others, flooded their minds in chaotic waves. Aaron saw her childhood on Vera, her training, her first duel. Saren saw his homeworld's droughts, his people scraping survival from dust. Then the memories merged. He was her and she was him, one mind caught between empathy and dissonance. He felt the weight of her duty, the pride that once masked loneliness. She felt the desperate, reckless courage that defined humanity's endurance. The flood eased, leaving them trembling. "They made us share," he said hoarsely. "They made us see," she corrected. "Now you understand why we fight." "Yeah," he said softly. "Because we're both terrified of losing ourselves. And because neither of us knows how to stop trying." She smiled faintly. The architect's light dimmed. "Understanding is harmony. Harmony births creation." The threads surrounding them tightened, spiraling into a single column of light. "It's choosing," Saren whispered. "The lattice is rewriting itself. With us. Through us." The column flared, pulling them toward its center. When the brightness subsided, they were standing on solid ground, though it shimmered like glass, transparent and infinite. A horizon of stars stretched in every direction. Floating before them was a sphere of molten light, thrumming with heartbeat rhythm. "The core," Saren murmured. "It's beautiful," Aaron said. "And unstable." "So am I," he said. "We'll get along." She shot him a look somewhere between affection and exasperation. "You joke when the universe hangs by a thread." "That's my contribution." "Then make it count," she said. "If the core stabilizes, the lattice will awaken as a bridge between every world that remembers resonance. If it fails, back to extinction," he finished. "No pressure. We have to balance the flow. You ground it, I guide it. Like dancing." "Exactly," she said, raising her sword. "Don't step on the rhythm." They moved as one, she tracing arcs of light through the air, he channeling energy through his scar to anchor each motion. The core pulsed brighter with every synchronized breath. At first it felt effortless, a tide rising in perfect rhythm. But as the energy grew, the harmony wavered. Aaron staggered, the force threatening to rip him apart. "It's too much," he shouted. "Focus." Saren called back. "I'm trying." The light flared violently, splitting into twin streams, one gold, one silver, wrapping around them like living serpents. He felt his mind fracturing, half drowned in emotion not his own. "Saren," he gasped. She reached for him, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Listen to me. Don't fight it. Feel it." He met her gaze, the world narrowing to her eyes. "Right," he said. "Feeling. Great plan." He closed his eyes and stopped resisting. The pain became rhythm, the rhythm became sound, and the sound became clarity. Every heartbeat aligned with hers, every breath synchronized. The twin streams merged again, flowing smoothly into the core. The instability subsided, replaced by a steady hum that resonated across the infinite glass plane. Saren lowered her sword, her face lit with awe. "You did it," she whispered. "We did," he corrected. The core responded with a deep, resonant tone that rippled outward like a wave. Threads of light erupted from it, spreading through the void, branching into countless directions. "It's awakening," Saren said. "The lattice remembers its purpose." Aaron watched the lines arc across the stars. "Looks like the universe just got a reboot." "Not just a reboot," she said. "A reunion." But the moment of peace didn't last. A shadow coalesced at the far edge of the platform, a form darker than space itself, flickering like smoke. It spoke in a voice that vibrated through their bones. "Union breeds corruption. Creation demands restraint." Saren's expression hardened. "The overseer," she said. "The last failsafe of the old forge. And I'm guessing it's not here to congratulate us." "No," she said grimly. "It was programmed to prevent exactly this, to destroy harmony before it unites beyond control." The shadow extended an arm, the air crackled with static. Aaron drew his sword, the golden light humming. "So what, we fight the embodiment of cosmic paranoia?" "Apparently," she said. "Any advice?" "Win." He grinned. "Straightforward." "Finally," she said and lunged. The overseer struck first, a wave of black energy slicing across the platform. Aaron rolled aside as Saren countered, her blade leaving trails of white fire. Their combined resonance clashed with the darkness, light colliding with shadow in bursts that shook the stars themselves. "It's drawing from the core," she shouted. "Then cut the power. If we sever it, everything dies." "Right, so minimal cutting." Aaron. "Kidding. Mostly." He parried another strike, the impact sending tremors up his arm. The overseer split into multiple copies, each radiating the same void energy. "That's cheating," he yelled. "It's efficient," Saren said, deflecting one attack. "You can admire efficiency later," he shot back. She didn't answer, already moving faster than his eyes could follow, her strikes forming a radiant web that held the duplicates at bay. But the real overseer emerged behind her, its claws descending. "Saren!" Aaron leapt forward, catching the blow with his blade. The impact drove him to his knees, the resonance screaming in protest. "You cannot sustain dual cores," the shadow hissed. "Your species was born to fracture." "Yeah," he said through gritted teeth, "but we're good at putting things back together." He forced the energy outward, gold flaring brighter than ever. Saren spun, driving her sword through the overseer's chest. The entity shrieked, its form unraveling into streams of black light that coiled toward the core. "It's trying to corrupt the lattice," she shouted. "Then we stop it." He seized her free hand, channeling everything he had left. Together they pushed, their resonance colliding with the corruption in a blinding explosion. When the light cleared, the overseer was gone. The core pulsed steadily, its glow pure and calm. Aaron collapsed, breath ragged, his skin faintly luminous. Saren knelt beside him, pressing her palm to his chest. "Stay with me." "Wasn't planning to leave," he murmured. "You always say that. Because it keeps being true." She smiled weakly, relief softening her features. "The lattice is stable," she said. "It's listening again." "Good," he whispered. "Tell it to play something cheerful." She laughed softly, the sound echoing like music through the vastness. Above them, the threads of light spread faster, connecting distant worlds, some human, some Alaran, others long forgotten. Voices rose across the resonance, a chorus of countless species awakening together. Aaron watched the horizon of stars brightening, the sound like an orchestra tuning to perfect pitch. "You think they'll get along?" he asked. "They'll argue," Saren said. "They'll fight. They'll misunderstand. So normal." "Yes," she said. "But they'll talk. And that's enough." "That's humanity for you," he said. "Start with a mess, end with a miracle." "Perhaps," she said, gazing at him. "You taught us that survival isn't enough. That meaning must be made, not inherited." He smiled faintly. "Glad we could help with the cosmic therapy." "Don't diminish it," she said. "You changed everything." He corrected. She touched his cheek lightly. "Always, we. Told you, team effort." The platform beneath them began to fade as the lattice expanded beyond sight. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now it spreads without us," she said. "The lattice no longer needs anchors. Meaning we rest." "I'm not good at resting." "Then learn," she said, smiling. Light engulfed them once more, warm and endless. When Aaron opened his eyes again, he was lying in grass under familiar twin moons. Saren sat beside him, her armor dimmed, her expression peaceful. "We made it back," he said. "No," she replied softly. "We were always here. The lattice exists in every moment now." He reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining. "So this is home?" "Wherever harmony survives," she said. "Then yeah," he whispered. "Home." Years later, explorers would tell stories of the night the skies across dozens of worlds lit with golden threads, and new voices began to speak through the resonance. The houses dissolved, their hierarchies undone by connection they could no longer control. On rebuilt Vera, a monument stood beneath the sunrise. Two figures carved in light, one human, one Alarin, standing together, hands joined, blades crossed in peace. Below the sculpture, a single line glowed eternally. She cut his palm in combat, then stilled when her blade began to glow.